This film is a true documentary which shows the construction of one of the finest radial tires in the industry. After viewing this film, we believe you will understand more fully why Phillips, after careful investigation of today's tire manufacturers, selected the General Tire and Rubber Company to produce the Phillips 66 radial steel-belted tire.
What you are about to see here, few people have ever seen before. The birth of not just a tire, but a radial tire built by General. A tire built to survive and more in a tire's quick world of lights and lines and signs and instructions of danger and emergencies, all kinds of emergencies, all of them now. The things a tire must do, it must do well, for many reasons, some of them pretty small. In a tire's world, margins are scant. There isn't much room for failure. Think about your tire for a minute and what it does. It is round and black, stands 2.5 feet tall, and weighs about 25 pounds. It must freeze, broil, turn, get soaked, be crushed, and bounce constantly for years. A tire is tough. Radials, General radials, are tougher, different, more sophisticated to do a better all-around job. Where the cord in the body of the popular bias-belted tire is built in at an angle, the cord in a radial tire runs straight across from bead to bead, a flat-out 90 degrees to the direction of roll. A small thing? You bet, but well worth it. Let's see now how a radial tire gets that way, how it is born, what goes into it, and why. But let's start at the beginning. Like every fabricated product, tires call for planning, a lot of planning, intricate, detailed, and exact. Plans like these with 1,000 calculations are made, remade and revised, and more often than not, discarded, failed to measure up. Prototypes are built in the lab and tested extensively. Many are found wanting. A radial tire is literally a machine of many parts, involving such special terms as inner liner, radial plies, turn-up plies, breaker belts, bead wire, cover, filler, chafer, toe, heel, lower sidewall, upper sidewall, white wall, shoulder, sidewall buttress, under tread, tread, voids, sipes. How well this machine performs, how safely, depends upon how well it is built. Each step is critical. Each affects tire life. The recipe for a tire calls for Indonesian and Malayan rubber, man-made rubber, from General's own complex in Odessa, Texas. Carbon black and a dozen chemicals. Steel. Fabric. Tire making starts with rubber, chewed up in a 2-story Banbury, mixed thoroughly. Batch cycle for a 450-pound bite, 15 minutes. Temperature, 340 degrees. From the Banbury, the new compound drops into a mill, the first in a long series where it is pressed into more easily handled sheets. After a bath in a whitish chemical solution to prevent tackiness, the rubber moves along on a drying conveyor to skids for distribution to further milling. This is the birthplace of General's line of tough, long-lasting rubber. Mileage starts here. So does stopping power and durability. From the initial milling, Traveling by a conveyor, the rubber moves along for further processing. Some is destined for tread, conveyed directly to huge temperature-controlled extruders, trimmed to predetermined widths, cut to length, and folded, all automatically to the closest possible tolerances. Other rubber becomes sidewalls, gleaming white at first, then black, coated for in-process protection. This is Aldora, Georgia, where all fabric used in General Tires, rayon, nylon, polyester, and fiberglass, is finished and woven to specifications. The right denier, the right number of strands, twisted precisely and woven into tire fabric, the soul of the tire. Most fabric is then bathed in General's exclusive Gen-Tac dip that makes the strongest possible bond between rubber and cord, a vital factor. It is all electronic, automatic, complex. Tempered finely in a roller-laden oven, the cord moves to Akron, Waco, Mayfield, Charlotte, and Bryan, ready for use. This is a calendar. Here, for the first time, rubber and fabric are combined. Atomic energy plays a role. Measuring is done with beta rays from strontium-90, a byproduct of uranium processing. General was the first in the industry to use this vastly improved method. Better quality? Always. After calendaring, the tough, atomically gauged fabric, cut on a bias, is spliced, a notch closer to the finished tire. Thickness is precise, angles are perfect, specifications are demanding. This is the Creo room, the key to steel-belted radial tire production. 720 spools electronically controlled for tension in a strictly controlled atmosphere. Feed literally miles of fine, specially coated steel wire through precision guides, 26 ends to the inch exactly, 28 inches wide. The system, by the way, is exclusive, largely developed and implemented by General Tire engineers. Belts, steel safety belts for radials start life here. Wire is fed directly into a calendar where it is sandwiched between thin rubber sheets to become the backbone of tires. Fabric for radials. Then on a high-speed precision cutter, the fabric is sliced into carefully measured widths. Other types of belt fabric used in radials, rayon, polyester, and fiberglass, go through a similar cutting process. The material is inspected, spliced, and wound into rolls. Other wire, a different type, is processed into beads. In tire building, beads are pretty important. They keep the tire on the wheel. Bead failure is tire failure. In place, a bead looks like this. A set number of wires, high tensile stuff, in an even pattern, with the strength of a cable. Now, here, all of them, treads, plies, cushions, and beads, begin to come together. On the General Tire single-stage radial tire building machine, an almost unbelievably complex piece of equipment, electronically controlled with many pneumatic functions, precise to the nth degree, all under the direction of a master tire builder, one of the most exacting, highest-paid jobs in the industry. Breakers or belts and tire tread elements are built here on this big collapsible drum. Belts are first, a set number, each with a vital job to do. Here is where reliability takes form. workmanship, materials, positioning. Demanding tolerances leave no room for error, human or mechanical. The tread comes next, centered automatically, checked and double-checked visually with electronic guide lights. Perfection is mandatory. The final test may come at 70 miles an hour. Belts and tread are stitched by the machine in one operation. And there it is, the tread and breaker element, complete, ready to put onto the tire body, held in a pneumatic grip. The builder moves to the right side of the single-stage machine now. And on electric cue, the servicer moves in with the inner liner and ply stocks. It must present the material. Here the inner liner, easily and smoothly without a hitch. The unit holds enough material to build 30 tires, all prepared and ready to go. The plies are next, one after the other, from the inside out. Stability comes to life at this point. The type of cord, the angle, ply thickness, adhesion, all are important, vital in terms of safety, in terms of durability. Compromise is out of the question. Let's watch the machine place the beads all by itself. Nothing to it. It's electro-pneumatic mechanical magic. Now the sidewalls are put in place, guided precisely by projector line lights. No room for error. The sidewall is comprised of two separate strips. A button is pushed, and the machine goes smoothly into action. The transfer ring brings the tread and belts to the body-building drum. Centering is automatic and exact to 1/1000th of an inch. Contact. The transfer ring releases its cargo. Presto, for the first time, we have a tire, partially formed. A little more stitching, a button pushed, and there it is, a green tire, a general radial ready for curing. Moving now, hundreds of them, one step nearer completion. Into the mold. Curing time, 15 minutes. Temperature, 300 degrees. The whole molding operation makes maximum use of automation. Tires arrive on station, wait, are loaded, cured, and unloaded without supervision at the command of an intricate system of electrical relays and signals, carefully pre-programmed. Here, for the first time, a tire, a General Tire. Some years back, General engineers found that inflating a freshly cured tire paid off in more mileage, extra strength. The process is called post-inflation. It means that the new tire is mounted and inflated like this. An extra step, but well worth it. After molding and post-inflation, the flash is trimmed off. Then, one more inspection. We've said little about inspection, but General's quality control and inspection systems are the most exacting in the industry. Without a slip, this unit expertly buffs away the white sidewall's protective covering. It's a beauty treatment. Moving tires and materials in plant is highly automated. Miles of conveyors do the job. Balancing done on this machine is precise. Individually, untouched, each tire is balanced automatically. Smoother riding is assured. After a dozen inspections, after precision balancing, there is yet another step. Calibration, the ultimate test for uniformity, for tiny internal force variations adversely affecting tire ride and performance. This is what does it, the Tire Uniformity Machine, a computerized electromechanical marvel, 10 years in development by General Tire engineers. It automatically, right on the production line, detects tiny radial force variations, pinpoints their location, and makes the necessary corrections. It goes a long way toward solving the age-old problem of vibration in tires. The result? Calibrated tires, smoother, quieter running tires. General tires, radials, good tires built to answer questions of where and how far with real confidence and peace of mind. Tires built to thrive in a down-to-earth role, where the constant unexpected demands a hefty margin of safety. The rewards of all this care and concern, are as rich and broad as the land and imagination, and the roads that bring the two together.
Hello, welcome everybody. I'm Skip Elsheimer, and this is the avgeeks Lunchtime streaming show. We just watched The Radial Way, which honestly is, I'm a big fan of what I call assembly line porn. Essentially, this is the manufacturing process, and it's beautifully shot, beautifully edited, and then the music score is so upbeat, yet not too exciting and kind of leisurely. And this is an excellent example of a really good assembly line porn film. And trying to figure out who this was shown to. I got this from a guy who used to work for Movie Makers, which was a company based in Cleveland, Ohio, that made a lot of these promotional and sponsored films. And this one, I don't know if this was shown to Phillips 66 dealers, employees, to the public, or was this a General Tire kind of promotional thing in general? I don't know for sure, but it's glorious. It's so good. And I'll just add it to the number of films that I have about tires. I have a couple of films that deal with tire safety, where people don't take care of their tires, and then there's problems. And so this was a wonderful film that shows the manufacturing process. Big fan, and I appreciate that you guys are big fans too. This is the last day of the year, and very happy, very sad what's going on, but very happy to have found a community, found people online that get into what I get into. So thank you so much for that, and I'll probably say thank you a couple more times. And another way you can say thank you to me is to buy me coffee, or just hit like or subscribe or notify or whatever. Those are all wonderful ways to say, hey, thanks. Your comments are also very much appreciated, and I feel very lucky to have, 1, a bunch of films to show you, 2, the means to show you, and then 3, the fact I have scores of people who are actually interested in what I'm showing them, or at least feign interest. So thank you for that. But speaking of workers, this is part of a project that I've been working on for Cornet, the company that owns Cornet Films, and this is a Cornet film that we scanned for them recently. Workers of our community.
Thank you. And now, everybody, to cut the ribbon, Linda Willis, representing the kids of Lincoln Schools. And the man who makes our city work, Mayor Robinson.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, children, Councilwoman Miro. It gives us a great deal of pleasure today to dedicate this new overpass. Right, Linda?
Right, so all us kids at Lincoln School won't have to worry about cars anymore when we cross the street.
Okay, let's cut that tape.
It's wonderful to see how the community can pitch in and work together to help build a pedestrian overpass. It looks as if the entire town has turned out today to help Mayor Robinson dedicate this new footbridge. This is Debbie Collins, WKYK News. Have a good day.
Oh, hello. You know, it's funny how some people say it's the mayor who makes the city work. Now, I do have an important job to do, but it really takes very, very many people to make any city, town, village, or community work. Now, take that footbridge at Lincoln School. I bet you have no idea how many people had to do their jobs before Linda could cut that ribbon. First, the people in the Lincoln School neighborhood, like Linda and her parents, had to tell their city councilman that they thought the children needed a new footbridge. Then, the city councilwoman asked other people who work for the city to help make sure the bridge was a good idea. Some people were sent to see just how busy the street was by Lincoln School. Others had to check and see if the community had enough money to build a footbridge. And then, when the councilwoman was sure the bridge was needed, she had to ask the whole city council to vote for building it. When the city council and I all agreed the footbridge should be built, That was the signal for many more people to get to work on the job. Architects and engineers who tell us how the new bridge should be built and what it should look like. Surveyors and planners whose job is to decide just where to build the new bridge. And of course, the workers who follow the plans of the architects and engineers and actually build the bridge. Then there are police officers who help to keep traffic moving while the work is underway and some of the street is blocked. And if the policeman has to give a ticket to someone who didn't drive carefully enough,
I then issued a citation to the...
that will mean work for the judges and clerks and other workers who have jobs in the courts.
I object to the question. Objection overruled.
And the chain of workers goes on and on.
Hi, Mayor.
Hi.
Hi, Mayor.
How are you? Now, we have the tax collectors who have to get the money not only to pay for the footbridge, but to pay the engineers and the judges, policemen, and even their own salaries. And then there are the people who have to prepare the bills to tell the citizens how much tax they have to pay. And after the bills are put in the envelopes and addressed, it's part of the mailman's job to see that they get delivered. Even the trash collector will have some work to do as part of this chain. See if you can guess what it is. Remember, the bill made out by the tax collector and delivered by the mailman came in an envelope. And once the bill is received, the envelope will go in the wastebasket. And sooner or later, everything in the wastebasket will go into the trash cans, where the trash collector will pick it up. People like the trash collector and mailman have jobs that help tie together all the different places in our community. Apartments, houses, stores, factories, help tie them into one working community. A working community. Think about that for a minute. You know, a community is like a machine, one that works to make life better and easier for all the people who live there together. And, like any machine, a community at work makes noises. Listen. See if you know what jobs go with the noises you can hear around your community.
Vic, give me that old Walden wrench.
You can hear people at work all around you, knitting all the places that people live, work, and play into one living community. Follow that trash, and you'll see another way our community is knit together. That trash will be burned to make electricity.
Hi, nice day, isn't it, Mayor?
Certainly is. And the electricity goes out over these lines that connect nearly every place in our city. There are other wires, too, for telephones. You probably see phone installers working in your neighborhood every so often. But the operators you don't see, only hear sometimes, also work at connecting places in our community together. Then there are the people who bring us water and gas, connecting our city with pipes instead of wires. And people who help us get from place to place, like the bus drivers and crossing guards. Crossing guards also protect, and that's another kind of job that's important in our community. Firemen and policemen help protect us against dangers we can see. And workers, like these pollution control officers, help protect us against dangers we can't see so easily, like harmful gases in the air. Even the fire chief's car is tested. And finally, they're the workers in our community that help people learn, enjoy themselves, and stay healthy. Librarians here in the public library have that kind of job.
Hello.
Good morning.
May I have your card, please?
There you are.
Thank you.
And so does someone you see every day. Who do you think that is? Come on, look around. It's your teacher, of course.
Thank you.
Thank you. And don't forget the school nurse, or doctors and other people who work in clinics. Who else? What about the people who keep our parks nice places to play? The men who cut the grass and draw the lines on the baseball diamonds and plant flowers in the spring. They're important too. So when I hear someone who says, I'm the man who makes this city work, I'm flattered. But you and I know better. It takes a lot of interested, dedicated people to keep this community going. And perhaps one day, you'll be one of them. Say, speaking of work, I better get back to mine. See ya, have a good day.
I love it. Such a great look at all the workers. I have the other version of this. This is the second edition. I have the original one, Helpers in Our Community, and it covers the same ground, but doesn't use a bunch of people in leisure suits to get it a point across. What do I want to show you now? This is an interesting informational film for a niche audience, and I love films like that, specifically made to educate people who own boats and ships and what to do when the Coast Guard boards your ship. So you're being boarded.
American motorboat owners can be counted in hundreds of thousands, and the number is growing yearly. All up and down our great system of inland waterways and in countless coves and harbors of our vast coastal areas, the boating season brings small craft of many types. Some skippers like their boating fast, a mile a minute plus with thrills to match. Others seek only a pleasant outing with their families or friends. But it all adds up to a mounting toll of accidents, many serious, some tragic, nearly all avoidable. To make this great and growing sport safer, Congress has passed certain laws and charged the Coast Guard with their enforcement. Regulations based on these laws are published in a pamphlet known as the Motorboat Regulations. You can obtain copies from any Coast Guard district office. The Motorboat Regulations provide certain minimums of safety for a small craft. A motorboat under these regulations includes any vessel propelled by machinery and not more than 65 feet in length, except tugboats and towboats propelled by steam. Unless documented by the customs, motorboats equipped with permanently installed motors must be numbered, except public vessels and motor lifeboats on inspected vessels. Since the minimums of safety equipment required on your boat are governed by its size, the regulations divide motorboats into 4 classes. Class A, less than 16 feet in length. Class 1, 16 feet or over and less than 26 feet. Class 2, 26 feet or over and less than 40 feet. Class 3, 40 feet or over and not more than 65 feet. If your boat is over 16 feet in length, equipped with a detachable motor, it must be numbered. Only the Coast Guard can assign numbers to motorboats. Here's a new owner making application for a set. The procedure is simple, since a certificate of award of number is not issued as a license or permit, but rather for purposes of identification. No physical or mental examination is required. All that's needed is a bill of sale or other acceptable evidence of ownership. Satisfied on this score, the clerk completes the certificate, typing in name of boat, its dimensions, engine number, name and address of owner, builder, etc. The certificate then goes to the officer in charge of the motorboat registration unit. And when he has checked it against the papers, his signature makes it valid. That's all there is to getting a set of numbers. As the owner accepts the numbers and his certificate, he must also accept the responsibility that goes with them. Of course, there's plenty of satisfaction. For now, this skipper can get out and enjoy his boat. He assures the clerk his motto will be safety first. This is the new skipper's boat, a Class 2. The law requires that his certificate be kept on board at all times, and that the awarded number be painted on or attached to each bow in block characters of good proportion, not less than 3 inches in height. Proper numbering is only one of the legal requirements for your boat. The regulations cover them in detail, and the Motorboat Act, which they implement, is summarized in the Pilot Rules, Bible of all good boatmen. In the interest of public safety, the Coast Guard trains and sends out boarding parties to see that boat owners and operators obey the law. In general, motorboats bearing this decal are not boarded, since it is evidence that they have been okayed by courtesy examiners of the Coast Guard Auxiliary. As motorboats are liable for required equipment only when underway, They are usually boarded either during operation or when they have just returned from a run. If you own a non-commercial boat, you need not be around when it is examined. You can even let your friends take it out alone. But you are responsible for its equipment, and failure to meet the minimum requirements can bring severe penalties. What the Coast Guard wants, however, is not revenues from violations, but dividends from safety. Let's see how this new skipper will make out. Courtesy is an unfailing rule of boarding officers, though not at the expense of duty. All violations, no matter how minor, must be reported. Before proceeding with the general examination, the certificate of award of number must be checked. The boarding officer will verify that the certificate is made out in the name of the present owner and that its number corresponds with the one on the bows. This examiner and his assistant, intent on doing a good job, are taking no chances. Yes, the number checks. Now for a look at the skipper's equipment. Life preservers are examined with great care. The regulations state that you must have one of approved type for each person on board. And boats with detachable motors aren't exempt from this rule. The cork jacket, such as those being examined here, is legal for all classes of motorboats if in good condition. But when the canvas cover is old and rotten, it's obviously more apt to take than save a life. So the examiner rightly rejects it. And the owner will have to get a new one. This type, the cork ring buoy, is also legal for all classes of motorboats, if in good condition. The buoyant cushion, though legal for all except Class 3 boats, makes a better pillow than a life preserver. When examining the engine compartments of motorboats, boarding officers give particular attention to flame arresters. The regulations provide that there be one such approved device on each carburetor. Accumulations of gases in bilges can lead only to trouble. Your engine and fuel tank compartments, therefore, must have at least 2 ventilators fitted with cowls or their equivalent for removing these dangerous gases. What can happen when that regulation is violated? Well, take this skipper, for instance. He'd planned a pleasant little fishing trip with his friends. Topside, all was in order, and the boat handling smoothly. But below, where trouble usually starts, things were far from right. That leaking fuel line had filled the bilge with gasoline vapor, an explosive so powerful that a mere half pint of it is equal to 5 pounds of dynamite, much more than enough to blow up their boat. When the mixture reached the flash point, one more spark was enough to touch it off. Had the skipper complied with the minimum safety requirements for his boat, this would not have happened. Next to an explosion, fire is the worst hazard on your boat, and the best insurance against it is adequate extinguisher protection, such as the fixed carbon dioxide system. The equipment must be properly installed and maintained. Boarding officers are required to verify that it is of approved type and capacity, and that its controls are readily accessible for quick use in case of emergency. Motorboats of the two larger classes having this system must also carry portable fire extinguishers of approved type and capacity. 1 for those of Class 2, 2 for those of Class 3. When not equipped with the CO2 system, boats of Class 1, such as this, and also boats of Class A, must have on board 1 portable fire extinguisher. Boats of Class 2, 2, and boats of Class 3, 3. Boarding officers must ascertain that all such extinguishers are of approved type and capacity and in good working order. The laws and regulations prescribe that motorboats of classes 2 and 3 shall carry side lights, red to port and green to starboard, showing from right ahead to 2 points abaft each beam. They shall carry a white bow light on or near the stem, showing through 10 points on either side, an arc double that of a port or starboard light. Motorboats of classes 2 and 3 shall also carry a white stern light, higher than the bow light and showing all around the horizon. If a light is obscured, it constitutes a violation, since it is not fully visible. A dinghy is a good thing to have on board, though not required equipment. But our skipper must either move it or mount his stern light on a higher staff. For motorboats of classes A and 1, the laws and regulations prescribe a simpler arrangement of running lights. All you need is a white stern light and the combination port and starboard light on the bow, though angles of visibility are the same as for the larger classes. Motorboats of Class 2 must have on board a hand or power-operated sound-producing device capable of giving a blast of 2 seconds or more duration and audible at least 1 mile. That one meets the test. But our skipper is playing safe. Here's his ace in the hole. For Class 1 boats, this much less noisy little item will do. Class A boats don't need any. Only power-operated sound-producing devices are legal for Class 3 boats. They must be at least as efficient as those on Class 2 boats. Motorboats of Classes 2 and 3 must have on board a bell that will sound a full, round tone. Now let's consider motorboats carrying passengers for hire. To operate such craft, a motorboat operator's license is required. This commercial boat owner is applying for one to the Office of Marine Licenses. His first step is to present character letters to the license clerk. When these have been examined and found to be in good order, the clerk gives him a sheet of instructions and a license application to fill out. Citizenship, military service, employment record, service on vessels. These are among the questions to be answered by the applicant. When the form is completed, the clerk checks it for omissions or evasions. The applicant then goes before the officer in charge, who takes his oath that the statements he has made are correct in every detail. The clerk now sends the applicant for a physical examination. His body must be sound, since the lives of his passengers may depend upon it. His eyesight must be keen, his color sense normal. Having passed his physical, the applicant is taken before the license examiner and questioned on his ability to operate a commercial motorboat. These questions are brief but to the point. They probe the applicant's knowledge of the motorboat regulations, the pilot rules, seamanship, engine maintenance, firefighting, life-saving, first aid, and related subjects. This applicant has the right answers and is of good character, so his papers are stamped approved, and he is issued a license to operate motorboats carrying passengers for hire. This license, the examiner informs him, is valid for a term of 5 years, but can be suspended or revoked for negligence or inattention to duty, or for violating the motorboat regulations. That won't happen to him, this skipper is sure. He's in business now, and he's going to play it safe. This is the skipper's boat, a Class 3 type, 12 net tons to be exact, and 42 feet in length. It's almost as new as his license, which he proudly posts on the cabin bulkhead. From now on, it's up to him. The Blue Albatross has been out with a fishing party and is about to dock. Since the boarding officers have observed her underway, the skipper will be liable for her required equipment. Instead of numbers, her name is on the bows. That's because commercial motorboats of 5 net tons or more are not numbered, but documented by the Collector of Customs. However, they must have on board all equipment prescribed by the Motorboat Act and regulations, all in good working order. The boarding officers note that her name and hailing port are properly displayed. Permission to board is requested, courteously as always, and granted. For a skipper with full legal equipment has nothing to fear. When examining documented vessels, boarding officers first ask for the owner's marine document. They are required to verify that it is made out in the name of the present owner and hasn't expired. Its official number must be carved on the main beam. The license, too, is carefully checked. The name on it must be that of the present operator, and its date must be within 5 years of the date of issue. Engine compartments are given a thorough going over to see that flame arresters are of approved type, properly installed. To see that vibration hasn't shaken anything loose, and that bilges are efficiently ventilated. The laws and regulations require commercial craft, like pleasure boats, to have enough life preservers for all persons on board. They must be of approved type, properly stamped and dated. It is mandatory that motorboats carrying passengers for hire have on board, in addition to 1 preserver per person, an added number suitable for children, at least 10% of the total. This skipper has them stowed on the port side. Like any Class 3 boat, this one must carry 3 fire extinguishers. Here we see 2 of the 1-quart carbon TET type. The examiner suspects this one is defective. He's right. An extinguisher isn't legal equipment unless it works properly. So it looks as if our skipper is going to get tagged with a violation. But no, for he has this big carbon dioxide extinguisher of approved type, allowed to count for 2 smaller ones on Class 3 boats. So there's no violation. Motorboats carrying passengers for hire must show the same lights as pleasure craft of the same classes, and boarding officers are required to examine them with particular care. These party boats often leave their docks before dawn, return after sunset, and upon the proper functioning of their lights may depend the safety of all on board. Whistles are required on such boats. They must be of the right type, well secured, and able to produce the proper blast. A bell must be carried, as on pleasure craft of classes 2 and 3, and is tested for effective tone. That completes the examination. The Blue Albatross has on board the required equipment, all in good order. Also, some important optional items, such as a compass, essential for accurate navigation, and a radio phone to maintain contact with ships and shore points, and in emergencies, to call the Coast Guard. Party fishing would be much safer, and there would be far fewer rescue calls if all commercial boats were as well equipped as this one. But many of them, and many pleasure craft, are not. So to make this great and growing sport safer for American motorboat owners, large numbers of boats must be examined each year. The Coast Guard asks owners and operators to bear in mind that the main object of the boarding program is not to exact penalties for violations, but to promote safety on the water.
That was great. Exhausting, but great. I'm sure that, in some states or some places, it's like, well, you have to get certified. You have to get a license. And so they would sit everybody in a room and make them watch this film. And that was counting towards your certification. Then you maybe take a quiz at the end. Who knows? But, yeah, so great. Thank you to Rick K. and William for coffee. You guys have kept me swimming in coffee, and I appreciate that very much. And I thank all of you for contributing coffee, caffeine. It's been crucial to what I do, and so I thank you for that. I'm pretty excited. The last film I have is this is part 3. I know that maybe you didn't see the first 2 parts, but that's okay. This is a great film to end the year on, I think. So, part 3. This is on a core. So, there's some schmutz there. Let me get rid of that. So a core there's a little plastic core here that holds the film, and then the film is on it, and it's not on a reel. And archivally, this is preferred because of reels can bend, reels can off-gas, reels can rust, and they can bend and warp film. So this is preferred, and this is actually lighter too. So sometimes people will sell films on eBay or other places, and they'll put them on a core. Some people, super cheapy people, will put things on a core and then they'll pop the core out, which is a giant pain in the butt to get it back onto a reel. You have to do a little bit of things on the rewinds. The other thing is, if this is not a tight pack on here, this will come off, and or this will pop out, and it's a nightmare. It happens probably once or twice a year, and most seasoned archivists deal with it. They're just like, oh, crap. So to accommodate this, you need a split reel, or in the case with the telecine that I have an adapter which is right here. So this just slips on. And I have a lockdown that locks it down. And this is pretty great. If I ran this on a projector, I would have to run it, put it on the split reel. So we're going to run this. And this is a close-up of me threading. So this right here is the sound head. There's a little exciter bulb, and there's a sensor. Then here, down here is the actual LED, and there's a mirror and a camera. So the camera is focused on the frame, as opposed to it projecting on something. And then there's this little wheel here that has little sprockets, and every time there's a frame, it moves and it triggers the camera and it triggers the LED to flash, which is how you get your flicker-free image. So here's a little bit about how this all works. So part 3 is, let's switch over to that. Yeah, like I said, maybe you haven't seen parts 1 and 2, but I feel like this is a good summation, a good way to say goodbye to 2020. So here we go. Part 3. Enjoy. So, this entire reel is just a countdown and part 3. And the U.S. Navy motion picture. This is why I like collecting 16mm, is because you run across weird things like this. And I've run across a couple of reels where it's just a title. It's a countdown and it's a title. But the fact that this one is part 3 is really makes me pretty happy. I superimposed the telecine so that you could actually see that, yes, this is actually running. I'm not looping it. It's not some sort of trickery. This entire reel is just this, part 3. And, you know, I could say that this sums up 2020 for me as being tedious, relentless, moments of joy, but I don't know. It's just a film. But I do want to reiterate that it means a great deal that you guys have tuned in. I feel pretty lucky that you guys are there. With your comments, giving me some eyeballs to play with. And I hope that 2021 is a time that we kind of get back, but also a time that we get to apply the stuff that we learned in 2020, and we get to prioritize the important stuff and not sweat the other stuff, things that maybe we took for granted. But just wanted to say I love you guys a lot, and we will see you tomorrow. I'm not doing a special show tonight, because I'm going to be playing a game, watching the new Bill and Ted movie, eating some barbecue, and goofing off. But tomorrow I'll be around. That will probably be the only thing I do tomorrow. But thanks again so much. Please take care of yourselves. And yeah. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye. I'll just let this run. How about that? So you can see that, because I watched this all the way through just to kind of see. It's like, is there a part 4? Does it actually start? What is it? So everybody have a good rest of your day, and take care. Oh, what's going on? That's weird. Anyways, see you in 2021. Everybody take care.